Imagine a canvas painted by the hands of time, each brushstroke revealing the hidden secrets of a distant past. There, in the shadows of a decadent imperial Russia, unfolds the story of Anastasia Romanov, a tale woven with threads of mystery, power, and tragedy. It's a narrative that beckons for deep reflection on what makes us who we are, challenging us to explore the layers of our own identity. In this journey, you'll be transported to a world where family roots and individual choices intertwine in intricate ways. You'll witness how the shadows of a crumbling empire and the promises of an uncertain future meet, creating a mosaic of lives and destinies. Each fragment of this historical tapestry awakens curiosity, compelling us to question how our own stories are shaped and retold. Come with me, dive into this fascinating narrative, and discover how the power of stories can illuminate the hidden parts of our soul, inspiring us to look at the past with new eyes and embrace the uncertainty of the future with renewed courage. In today's video, we invite you to embark on a fascinating and revealing journey through the history of the Romanov family, one of the most intriguing and tragic in modern history. We'll start by unraveling the truth behind the enchanting but historically inaccurate narrative of the animated film Anastasia. While the film captivated audiences of all ages with its beautiful animation and engaging plot, the reality of the events surrounding the fall of the Romanovs is far more complex and somber. We'll then delve into the tumultuous events that led to the end of the Romanov dynasty, exploring the socio-political context of Russia on the eve of the revolution. We'll understand how widespread dissatisfaction with the autocratic regime and severe economic inequality drove the revolutionary movements that changed the course of Russian history. We'll also meet public figures like Grigori Rasputin, a controversial and enigmatic man whose close relationship with the Romanov family sparked rumors, scandals, and public outrage. Often portrayed as a villain in popular culture, Rasputin had a real and deeply disturbing influence in the final years of the Russian monarchy. Lastly, but certainly not least, we will reflect on the tragic fate of the Romanov family. Their lives, filled with privileges yet marked by suffering, ended brutally, prompting us to ponder the fragility of power and the human cost of political upheaval. Additionally, we'll discuss the legacy of the Romanovs, their canonization, and the ongoing fascination their story holds over generations. Prepare for an emotional and enlightening journey through one of the most impactful chapters of modern history. Join us in this exploration. Today, we will delve into one of the most captivating and controversial stories in modern history. Anastasia. You might be familiar with the enchanting 1997 animated film, but what if I told you that the true story is both more tragic and infinitely more intriguing? The film, created by Fox Animation Studios, is a technical marvel. It combines traditional animation with early CGI techniques, creating a visually stunning experience that captivated audiences of all ages. It received widespread acclaim for its beautiful animation, engaging songs, and intriguing plot, even being nominated for 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Song and Best Musical or Comedy Score. But despite its technical brilliance and warm reception, Anastasia takes significant and contradictory liberties with historical facts. In the film, Anastasia is depicted as a young princess who miraculously escapes the massacre of her family during the Russian Revolution and subsequently suffers amnesia after a fall. Years later, she embarks on a journey to rediscover her true identity. While this storyline is engaging, it presents a simplified and romanticized version of the real historical events. To truly understand Anastasia's story, we must first delve into the fall of the Romanov dynasty. The Romanov family ruled Russia for over 300 years, but their reign abruptly ended with the revolution in 1917. Tsar Nicholas II, the last emperor, faced immense political and social upheavals, exacerbated by his leadership failures and the tensions of World War I. This is where the film Anastasia diverges from historical events to fit its narrative. The movie downplays the brutal realities of the revolution, focusing instead on an adventurous quest. But in reality, the socio-political context was far more intricate. The revolution was driven by widespread dissatisfaction with the autocratic regime and severe economic inequality gripping Russia at the time. For instance, while the film shows Anastasia escaping the massacre and suffering from amnesia, the true fate of the Romanov family was far more tragic. They were all executed on the night of July 17, 1918, in Ekaterinburg. The film's plot simplifies these complex events to focus on a personal story of survival and self-discovery, whereas, in reality, the socio-political context was much more complicated. So, how can we explain the fascination with the film and its historically inaccurate narrative? The answer lies in the combination of highly appealing elements. First, the story of a lost princess, Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanov, was born on June 18, 1901, in Peterhof, Imperial Russia. She was the fourth daughter of Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra Fyodorovna, and the youngest of the four Grand Duchesses. From an early age, Anastasia was known for her lively and mischievous spirit, gaining a reputation as the most animated and adventurous of the Romanov children. She was affectionately called Shvibzik, clown, by her family due to her playful behavior. The narrative of Anastasia touches people's hearts also because, at its core, it is about hope and personal rediscovery. Her quest for identity and overcoming adversity are universal themes that resonate deeply with the audience. Additionally, the quality of the animation, memorable songs, and charismatic characters contribute to creating a modern fairy tale that is hard to resist. In a world often marked by uncertainties and challenges, the idea that someone can overcome great obstacles to find their true place in the world is immensely comforting. This fascination with Anastasia's story lies in its exploration of identity, memory, and the concept of rebirth. Just as Anastasia in the film grapples with amnesia and a lost past, we can reflect on how our memories and stories shape who we are. The film presents us with a journey of self-discovery that raises profound questions about identity and belonging. When Anastasia finds herself without memories of her past, she faces the daunting task of rebuilding her identity from the fragments of a shattered puzzle. This is something we all experience when we are affected by different versions of a story or important historical fact. This brings us to ponder the true nature of identity. Is our identity rooted in our lineage, our family, and cultural origins, or can it be entirely reconstructed through our experiences and self-discovery? This question challenges us to consider how much we are shaped by our heritage and how much we have the ability to reinvent ourselves. These philosophical questions invite us to reflect on our connection to our roots and the influence of historical narratives on our sense of identity. Our personal stories are intertwined with the collective history of our families and communities, and these shared narratives play a crucial role in shaping who we are. But at the same time, our lives are a continuous series of experiences and choices that also shape our identity. This is a complex issue. On one hand, the past can exert a powerful influence over our lives, whether through cultural traditions, family expectations, or historical events that have impacted our communities. On the other hand, we have the ability to transcend our past, making choices that lead us down new and unexpected paths, allowing us to redefine who we are. Anastasia's story and the imposition of a different narrative challenge us to consider both aspects. As she navigates between the shadows of a lost past and the promise of a self-defined future, we are reminded that identity is not fixed but rather a dynamic construction that evolves over time. Our roots and memories are important parts of us, but they are not the entirety of our identity. We can honor them and learn from them, but we also have the power to reinvent ourselves through our own experiences and choices. This reflection encourages us to look at our own lives and consider how the stories we tell about who we are, both to ourselves and to others, shape our worldview and actions. Are we allowing the past to define us in a limiting way, or are we embracing the possibility of growth and change? Anastasia's journey is a powerful reminder that while our roots are fundamental, our choices and experiences are equally important in building our identity. This capacity for reflection on identity and self-discovery is not just an individual matter, but can also be seen in the history of nations and dynasties. The story of the Romanov family, for instance, reveals how legacies of power and leadership can profoundly influence the course of historical events. The Romanovs ruled Russia for over 3 centuries, a dynasty marked by both grandeur and turmoil. Nicholas II, the last Tsar, ascended to the throne in 1894. Despite his dedication, Nicholas was ill-prepared to deal with the immense challenges that arose, including political unrest, economic inequality, and a disastrous involvement in World War I. Adding to the political instability was the controversial figure of Grigori Rasputin. Rasputin, a mystical healer, gained significant influence over the Romanov family, particularly the Tsarina Alexandra. His presence and the scandals surrounding him fueled public outrage and undermined the credibility of the royal family. In the film, Rasputin is depicted as an evil sorcerer who curses the Romanov family. However, the reality was more complex. Rasputin's influence was more about his perceived control over the royal family, which contributed to the public's loss of faith in their leadership. Rasputin, frequently portrayed as a villainous sorcerer in popular media, was a mystical healer who gained significant influence over the Romanov family, particularly the Tsarina Alexandra. Born into a peasant family in Siberia, Rasputin's rise to power is as mysterious as it is fascinating. He arrived in St. Petersburg around 1905 and quickly entered the inner circle of the royal family. Rasputin's influence stemmed from his purported ability to heal the Tsar and Tsarina's only son, Alexei, who suffered from hemophilia, a condition where blood does not clot properly. Alexandra, desperate for a cure, placed immense trust in Rasputin, believing he possessed divine healing powers. Yet, Rasputin's presence at court was not without controversy. His close relationship with the royal family fueled rumors and scandals, leading to widespread public outrage. Many believed Rasputin wielded too much control over the Tsarina and, by extension, the throne itself. In the animated film, Rasputin is portrayed as a malevolent sorcerer who curses the Romanov family. While this adds an element of dark magic to the story, the reality was more nuanced. Rasputin was seen by many as a charlatan, but his influence was real and deeply disturbing to the Russian aristocracy and public. Rasputin's assassination in 1916 was as dramatic and controversial as his life. A group of nobles, determined to rid Russia of his influence, poisoned, shot, and eventually drowned him. His death did little to restore faith in the monarchy. So, why does Rasputin continue to capture the public imagination? Perhaps it's his enigmatic persona, his rise to power, or the dramatic nature of his life and death. Whatever the reason, Rasputin remains a symbol of the Romanovs' downfall, illustrating how a single figure can become a lightning rod for public discontent. Reflecting on Rasputin's role in this historical drama, we are reminded of the dangers of unchecked power and the volatility of public opinion. Rasputin's story invites us to consider how individuals can become scapegoats in times of crisis and how their legacies are shaped by the tumultuous events surrounding them. The fall of the Romanovs prompts us to reflect on the nature of leadership and the impact of socio-political conditions on governance. This brings us to the February and October revolutions of 1917. To understand this, we need to look at the socio-economic conditions in Russia at the time. The country was plagued by severe inequality, with the vast majority of its population living in poverty. The working class faced grueling conditions, long hours, and low wages. These hardships were exacerbated by Nicholas II's autocratic government and his inability to address the needs of the people. His decision to involve Russia in World War I further strained the nation, leading to widespread discontent. The February Revolution of 1917 was a critical moment. Driven by immense dissatisfaction, strikes and protests erupted in Petrograd, now St. Petersburg. Soldiers eventually joined a revolt, and Nicholas II was forced to abdicate the throne. This marked the end of imperial rule in Russia and the beginning of a provisional government. But the turmoil was far from over. The provisional government struggled to maintain control, leading to the October Revolution later that year. The Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power, promising peace, land, and bread to the war-weary and impoverished masses. Gripped by a revolutionary fervor, Russia was a nation on the brink of chaos, with a populace desperate for change. The revolution was driven by widespread dissatisfaction with the autocratic government and severe economic inequality. As the Bolsheviks consolidated power following the October Revolution of 1917, the imperial family was placed under house arrest. Initially, they were kept in relative comfort in their palace at Tsarskoye Selo. However, as the political situation became more precarious, they were moved to Tobolsk in Siberia and eventually to Ekaterinburg, where their fate was sealed. On the night of July 17, 1918, the Romanovs' lives came to a brutal end. The family, including Tsar Nicholas II, Tsarina Alexandra, and their 5 children, Olga, Tatiana, Maria, Anastasia, and Alexei, were awakened and informed they were to be moved to a safer location. Instead, they were taken to the basement of the Ipatov house, where they were met by a firing squad. The execution was swift and merciless. The Bolsheviks, fearing the royal family could be rescued by the White Army, decided to eliminate them to prevent any possibility of their return to power. The bodies were buried in a shallow grave, and the location remained a secret for many years. For decades, rumors persisted that one or more of the Romanov children had survived. These rumors were fueled by the discovery of Anna Anderson, who claimed to be Anastasia. Anderson's story captivated the world and added to the mystique surrounding the Romanov tragedy. However, DNA tests in the 1990s ultimately debunked her claim, confirming that all had perished on that fateful night. The discovery of the Romanovs' remains in 1979 and their correct identification in the 1990s finally brought some closure to this dark chapter of history. In 1998, the remains of Nicholas II, Alexandra, and 3 of their children were buried in St. Petersburg's Peter and Paul Cathedral, a solemn acknowledgement of their tragic end. Anastasia's story serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of power and the human cost of political turmoil. Their lives, filled with both privilege and suffering, ended unimaginably. It is a story that continues to resonate, prompting us to reflect on the complexities of history and the lasting impact of loss. The story of Anastasia and her family did not end with their tragic deaths. Instead, their legacy continued to captivate historians, filmmakers, and the public for over a century. The Romanovs symbolized the end of an era, the fall of Imperial Russia, and the dawn of a new chapter for the Russian people. One of the most significant aspects of their legacy is the ongoing interest in their lives and the myths that surrounded them. The mystery of Anastasia, popularized by the animated film, is a prime example. However, it is crucial to adopt a critical lens when engaging with such media. The film Anastasia, while enchanting and entertaining, presents a sanitized and romanticized version of events that omits the harsh realities of the time. By reducing the Russian Revolution to a mere struggle between good and evil and ignoring the genuine socio-economic grievances that fueled it, the film misses the opportunity to provide a more nuanced understanding of this historical moment. Interestingly, The fall of the Romanov dynasty and the subsequent establishment of the Soviet Union brought significant changes to Russian society, including improvements in public health. Over time, life expectancy in Russia dramatically increased, reflecting broader socio-economic transformations. This improvement highlights the complex interplay between political change and social welfare. Despite its violent aspects, the revolution led to substantial progress for a majority of the nation long suffering under the imperial regime. This part of history also serves as a reminder of the human cost of political turmoil. It is a clear illustration of how power can shift rapidly and violently, with devastating impacts on individuals and families. It prompts us to reflect on broader themes of power, justice, and the human condition, encouraging us to learn from the past as we navigate our complex world. Furthermore, the events of the Russian Revolution had a lasting impact on Russia itself and the entire world, considering the subsequent events of World War II. The fall of the Romanovs marked the beginning of a new era, leading to the establishment of the Soviet Union and the profound changes that followed. Today, the Romanovs are remembered in Russia with a mix of reverence and sorrow, symbolizing both a lost imperial past and a poignant reminder of the country's revolutionary journey through the 20th century. Anastasia also highlights the importance of how narratives in films and media can compete with true history and shape our perception of reality. Movies like these influence our understanding of the past, sometimes romanticizing or altering events for entertainment purposes. This influence underscores the need for critical engagement with both historical accounts and their dramatized versions, ensuring a balanced perspective. Reflecting on these aspects, we learn valuable lessons about the complexities of history, the impact of socio-political changes on society, and the way stories are told and retold through generations. The Romanov story, with its blend of tragedy, mystery, and intrigue, will undoubtedly continue to captivate and inspire for many years. And so, we reach the end of our deep dive into the enigmatic story of Anastasia. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if there are other historical topics you would like to explore further. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our future content.